welcome back to the Spar Scene MMA Show. Today we're giving our best bets for the most anticipated pay-per-view of the year, UFC 301. We got Alexandra Pantoja versus Steve Erceg. This is a surprise fight. Erceg is ranked number 10. He got the invitation from Pantoja to come fight for the title since Pantoja's basically swept the division. So pretty interesting fight. Nothing too crazy on this card, but, you know, just another pay-per-view we can watch. A little better than the Apex, slightly better than the Apex. So, yeah, we're going to get into it. We're going to give our best bets for this weekend, and let's get into it.
Oh, show me the money, huh? Show me the
money. Our bleach blonde king. He said he's willing to do a welterweight fight for fun, which I think is a great idea for him.
Think so? I don't know.
I'd love to
see
get
squashed.
I think so.
As long as he's not a grappler, like, it's weird to say because he can grapple, but you guys get what I'm saying. Not a Russian grappler.
Speaking of that, a guy at his academy, Elvis Brenner, shooty box guy, fighting this weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and give my best bet where I'm talking about Oliveira and grapplers beating jiu-jitsu guys. All right. So Mike Tech, I don't know how to say his first name, Orolbai. The dude, he's a savage. He's nasty. He's had his UFC debut. He beat Eurosmetic. We just saw what Eurosmetic did to Tim Means. He just flatlined him. So this is a fight I'm excited to see because both of these guys are finishers. Orolbai, he dominated in the LFA before he got to the UFC. He was 3-0 with 2 knockouts, 1 decision. Elvis Brenner is 3-0 in the UFC. So it should be a fun fight. I think the wrestling plays a huge factor in this fight just because, you know, the shoot box guys, they have great jiu-jitsu and they're wild on the feet. They're big strikers, but they're not really safe with their striking. They're just kind of throwing it out there and hoping they land something. I think Orolbai is too disciplined. He should stay out of danger in this fight. I think with Brenner being a wild guy, Orolbai will outclass him and just show him that there's levels to this game. Kind of like we saw against Oliveira Sarukian. Sarukian's wrestling was just too strong for Oliveira, and the jiu-jitsu with Oliveira, he couldn't do anything. He had no space to throw any submissions, do any sweeps or anything like that. So I think Orolbai can finish him on the feet. I think Brenner's just too – he's not safe enough. He throws himself out there. His chin's open. He's constantly swinging for haymakers. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for Orolbai to win this fight, but I think he dominates him with the grappling. And I think should be somewhat of an easy win for Orolbai. And it's going to be interesting because Brenner is 3-0 in the UFC with 2 finishes, 2 knockouts. So it's not an easy fight for him. It's a great fight, in my opinion, but it's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, I could see this being a little bit like Jeff Neal versus Shavkat Rakhmonov, where they kind of got violent for a while. They got pieced up a little bit, and then Shavkat just was like, you know what? I'm going to stay disciplined, just stick to him like glue and keep him on the fence. That's the way to deal with it, man. I mean, you love crushing our spirits about our love for Oliveira. I noticed, Brad. You like to just rub it in now.
I think we brought that up a few times since then.
You're off the train?
Far too many.
I mean, someone's got to do it. Oliveira hasn't done much of recent, so you know. Man, you can't ride him forever, man. You gotta see reality eventually, Simon. Come on.
This is
what's of recent though? We got Tony Ferguson of recent, and we got maybe one loss of recent. That's what we got to compare.
Islam and Sarukian. I mean. To be fair to the guy, he is up against like the elite of the elite at every single time. But still, you know, he's been through some wars. So it could be that time where the wheels are starting to fall off, which that's kind of been my formula for success lately. With this pick that I'm about to do, we're going to work our way kind of up the card just in order of who's picking what. My pick this weekend is going to be for the co-main event, which is a returning King of Rio, Jose Aldo against Jonathan Martinez. This fight is at 135, which Jose moved down to that weight before he retired. Now, when he retired, we have this thing where USADA gets X'd during that time. So my only question for where his mind is at is all of a sudden he's back. Okay, he's making a comeback. Just literally less than a year before he retired. If he got really thick and juicy with USADA, then he might have a better chance here. But I don't feel hopeful. So anyone who listened to the show before, I ride Jose Aldo really, really high. I rate him as one of the GOATs, as a featherweight GOAT. But where he's at right now, man, he took that time off. I was kind of happy when he retired. He got into the Hall of Fame and he was crying. He was like, you know what? This looks like closure. They just can't stop. It's like the BJ Penn curse. He's back again against Jonathan Martinez. Jonathan Martinez is 6-0 in his last 6. He's finishing people left and right. He's hunting them down. He's destroying their legs. Now, one wrinkle here, we have Jose Aldo took a couple of boxing fights in the meantime, right? While he was retired. He did okay. He did draw with Jeremy Stevens. He got some wild brawls. Not the most disciplined boxing in the world, but his pivot, his hands are much, much higher level than Jonathan Martinez. His jab is educated. He's a beautiful fighter. Look at his Pedro Munoz fight. Look at what he does off the jab. But Jonathan Martinez, man, is really, really durable. He's young. He has not taken a lot of damage. He hasn't been finished very much. His weakness here is going to be the hands. So I think he needs to play the distance. He needs to hang out at distance and chew Aldo up with just a trait of weapons. He just needs to kick his legs, do the things that he needs to do. He needs to be super disciplined. But here I am picking Jonathan Martinez down the stretch. At first, I was going to go a KO in round 2, but it's a little too specific. Also, if Jose did get his hands on that sweet, sweet juice down there, it might make him a little bit more, I guess, resistant, a little more durable, but he could survive the onslaught. He's pretty good at dealing with leg kicks, but he stopped throwing them. Watch his career. He abandoned that weapon. Be interesting to see him try to work that against Martinez, but I think this night on Saturday is going to be exciting because we've got Jonathan Martinez and Steve Erceg. These are two guys that are kind of like right there. They're on the precipice, right? Both of these dudes are like about to break through, but we haven't seen that like tip-top performance, that one that puts him over the edge. This for Jonathan Martinez could be that. Now, the only thing that sucks for him is if he beats Aldo, he's doing it at home. He's probably not going to get a great reaction from the crowd, but still, we're riding on Jonathan Martinez money line -152 against Jose Aldo. Sorry, Jose.
I think there's good value there too at -152. Like that could easily be, I think, over 200. Well, you guys agree? I mean,
put it in a parlay. I think that's a place to put it. I don't think it's big money, but it's
I don't know, man. Jose Aldo. I don't know, man. You can never doubt the guy.
We just don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know where he's at.
Speaking of we don't know, when we move on to my pick is for the Pantoja and Erceg fight. And when this fight was announced, like if you're watching this, you can't lie, you weren't too familiar with Erceg. I wasn't either. I remember watching his fights on like the fight night when I was doom scrolling on Instagram, just trying to kill time. I was like, oh, Erceg with the knockout gets matched now. It's exciting, and I definitely caught a glimpse of him, but I had no idea that he would be getting a fight like this so soon. I don't think anybody did. But looking back at his record and his highlights from before he was in the UFC, he's had 3 fights in the UFC. This guy's a dog, and he knows how to strike, and he can grapple. So this is going to be a really good fight. And so is Pantoja. I mean, he's fought the top fighters in the flyweight division, beat most of them twice even. His last fight against Orolbai was a really good one. He snuck away with the win. But in my eyes, he still won. So it's going to be a really good fight. The big thing for me is that I'm not sure who's going to win this fight after watching the highlights, but I do know that Pantoja has not been finished in his career. And I know that no matter what, he's going to push the pace and make it at least 3 rounds. And Erceg's going to have to take him out early if so. So that's why I'm not doing over 3.5 rounds. I'm not doing going to fight the distance. But I'm going to go with over 2.5 rounds. I think that, especially at the flyweight division, there's not a lot of – it's hard to say because Erceg showed he had a lot of power. But these guys don't have the power like the heavyweights where if they connect once, they're going to be out. I think Erceg, if he's going to knock Pantoja out, he's going to take a while. And if Pantoja is going to finish Erceg, I think it might take a while. So due to that, I'm going to go with over 2.5 rounds at -188. The odds are changing a lot for this. So you might want to hop on it now because it might increase to over to the 200s, -200. But – yeah, so I'm going with Erceg and Pantoja over 2.5 rounds at -188. And I'm hoping these over rounds can continue. I got the one last week. Going to keep rolling with these these seem a little more sensible, but when it comes to betting, really nothing stays as true as what it seems. So
this is gonna be our first 3-0 week. We get to have a 3-0 week. That's sad.
This is the one. I think we did when we first started, but that was like a year ago. It was a long time ago that we did it. Yeah. It's like we were on money. The last time it was perfect. And then, of course, Nicolau just gets flash knocked out by Alex Perez, which I should have seen that coming. That's my bad. Perez did have better hands. Yeah. Nicolau was favored by everybody. But, it's just like with Aldo, man. He could come out and ruin my day on Saturday. I'll cheer, but I'll also cry for my pick, Yeah.
I want people to comment if these picks are reasonable or if we're crazy up here at the Spar Scene. Yeah, I want to hear some thoughts, man. I want to know some feedback on our picks. I feel like we're doing good picks, but they're not hitting. At least majority aren't.
I think the
week in and week out. So.
Yeah. I think we've had a lot of weeks where we went 2 out of 3, so we are making sensible picks. It's just. It's betting is hard. That's why there's addictions for it. That's why they have programs where you get too deep into it because you can lose all your money. So it's not free.
Simon's the guy who's got the right idea, man. Simon's doing like by method and round stuff. Like he's gonna pull away where you and me, Brad, we're gonna be in the van down by the river because we're just like we're going balls deep. Just he's gonna win.
We should start a rehab show, betting rehab show. For all of our listeners who make our bets, we need a show for them too.
You're right.
We can bet now. You can bet at Dave and Buster's, so we can have a Spar Scene meetup at Dave and Buster's. We can make bets there.
You're kidding me.
Then we can help our fans get their money back, right? We can do a meetup and do that.
Just don't go to the one in Steel Creek. It's the shootings there, so we want to go maybe to the Rock Hill one or just further away from that location for Buffalo Wild Wings.
All right. Well, let's hope this is 3-0 this week. That pretty much does it for our best bets for the most anticipated card of the year. I think one thing before we leave, I thought the funny thing is like, all these fights are just why. Like you look at the fight, you're like, why is this happening? Like we love Aldo, but why is this happening? Erceg moving up, why is this happening? It's just that's like the theme of the card.
I wonder if this card, if this was in like Vegas or Salt Lake City, Utah, or Florida, like would they be more hype behind this card? I feel like it would. I feel like it's not a terrible card, but the fact that it's out of the country, Rio is a fun place. I mean, that's probably gonna be electric in that arena, but I think for the American audience, I think it's not getting much attention because it's in Brazil.
I would have to play devil's advocate. I think like it's only getting hyped because it's in Brazil. Like, oh, it's a Brazil card with some of the Brazil fighters.
It's also overload because like everyone's kind of worn out off of what just happened. I think people are still like hungover on 300.
Yeah,
like,
I agree. I think that's
it's like a Frankenstein card too. It's like they just took pieces of people who were available and just had to make a pay-per-view out of it because they use all their Brazilian fighters the past 2 cards. Pereira, Oliveira, Lopez, all in 300. I could have been the main card for this,
Maybe put Pereira down there. They should have put him against a can. Like not for the title, but just like against some guy at heavyweight for him to smash the guy. Just to give the fans, because they'll go completely apeshit over that. Like you didn't need to put him in there with like Tom Aspinall on short notice. Like put him in there against somebody that he can handle, maybe, so that people get a
gone. You think, or
maybe like Tabura. Wait a minute, never mind.
Walt Harris.
Walt Harris. Oh man.
Parker Porter or whatever.
Parker Porter.
Parker Porter and Pantoja headlining.
Oh my god!
You ever wanted to visit Brazil, Parker? Have you ever thought you wanted to visit Brazil?
Jeez. Yeah, I think Pereira being on this card would have been icing on the cake.
But
as it stands, it'll be fun. But if there's big upsets, it'll be way worth it. Like if we see Erceg win, I think people will be like, "Oh wow, we underwrote this card big time." And the way it's looking, man, he just might get it done.
This card's putting me to sleep, man. We gotta wrap this up.
It's so electric. I literally died
Simon
from
even
it.
fell asleep too. I think Simon's gone.
Simon's
I thought
gone?
you were frozen. Is he frozen or no?
I lagged out. Am I back?
Yeah, we
He's-
keep
He's
lagging
falling
out.
asleep too. Yeah, everybody's
Can you hear
falling
me?
asleep with this card. It's so boring. You can't even keep
No,
it
but-
together.
I just got a message on my phone, guys. The card is canceled actually because the podcast it wasn't as exciting as they thought, so they canceled the whole thing.
All right. Let's
All
wrap
right.
it up.
The producers say to wrap it up. We got stuff to do. We'll see you guys next time. Make sure you guys subscribe. Check out our bets for the next upcoming events, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.